window on your right.
Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon. We'd like to welcome you to our first update from the Superintendent broadcast. We decided we needed to begin offering this kind of communication because of how quickly things are changing because of this spread of coronavirus. Both Chris and I have had the opportunity to visit quite a bit with people throughout the state in leadership positions using a format that's very similar to this, and we've been afforded the opportunity to ask questions. So it's my hope that this system is working well enough for you that you can text some questions as you need to have answers, and you need to have them in a pretty timely fashion. So our intent again is to offer these live chats through YouTube, and do this every afternoon at about 4 o'clock. And again, answer questions as you need to have them answered. Again, I would also like to encourage you anytime, if you end up watching this thing as it's recorded, feel free to contact us at the district office or with email through the district webpage, and we can get some things going for you in as timely a fashion as possible, as our world is really, really changing in a big hurry. Chris, you got anything to add to that deal?
Well, yeah, just you can see we're trying to
6 feet apart.
practice our social distancing here. We want to be good models of that because it is important in this time, and so we plan to practice what we're preaching for the health of all.
You bet. To get some information going in already, hopefully most of you have seen how we are getting the students' belongings to them. I want to applaud our building level administration and staff. The custodians are rock stars. The people who are helping make this broadcast are rock stars. Mike Leiby, Anthony Brown, they're standing just on the other side of the door here, making sure the thing is working. And we'll go from there. Chris, could you, off the top of your head, can you name our top 3 goals?
Sure can. So as we go in this time of continuous learnings is the term from the state, and that's what we're going to use as well. We established some goals, and our first and primary goal is the overall health and emotional well-being of our students, staff, and our community. So that's our primary function. We don't want this to be a stressful time, a more stressful time because of what we're expecting of students. Our second primary goal is that seniors who are on track to graduate, that they are still able to do that. We want to put systems in place so that those students are ready to go on to career or college next year. And kind of in that same vein with all other students, K through 11, pre-K through 11, we just want to ensure that those students are ready to go to school next year to be successful. We are in no way, shape, or form doing school. We are not going to take what we would have done in brick and mortar and put that in the virtual world. This is something totally different. It will be a lot less. We want to also meet the needs of the family. So in that overall, our first goal of overall health and emotional well-being of our community, that we're reaching out and meeting some of those needs in the students' homes without being in the students' homes. So that's our 3 primary goals as we move forward the rest of this school year.
You bet. And quite frankly, keeping those goals in mind, we understand that our students need to have their iPads. All of our kids, K through 12, they're very used to using the devices throughout the school day. And quite frankly, they probably use them too much based on some of the information we got from our surveys for the strategic plan. But that said, we have been working very hard to get the students' personal belongings put together, get their workbooks that they might need if they're a little bit younger, get their iPads as well in bagged up and ready to be picked up. Our K through 8 buildings, the pickup actually began earlier today. They began at 1 p.m. and they will continue to do this, picking up the stuff until 6 p.m. They will also go again tomorrow morning, again K through 8. 8 a.m. to noon. The high school started yesterday, and they had hoped to get everybody finished by 6 p.m. yesterday, and they realized that that didn't quite happen. So they also will be providing opportunities for students to pick up their stuff from 8 a.m. to noon. And it's pretty imperative that every one of our students has their iPad at home. With that in mind, we know that we're going to be doing school-like stuff at home, and then that creates a lot of anxiety for families, and we want to do everything we can to help alleviate some of that strain. The continuous learning plan will be designed to allow for a great deal of flexibility. We're going to focus on essential learning goals, not deadlines. We're going to understand that our syllabus that we started the school year with, it has to change. It's not going to be the same thing. It's going to have to change to take care of essential kinds of goals. I think our teaching staff will put together activities that will be very authentic, will be very flexible, and very fitting for playing school at home, quite frankly. And I think it's going to be a good thing. We want to encourage our families to reach out to school personnel that they have gotten to trust and that they know well, and just simply express what needs they have as they do so. That's the only way we're going to be able to make sure that we're covering bases for every one of our students. We did receive some guidelines from the Kansas State Department of Education that outlines time considerations for families. And those recommended guidelines are for maximum student commitment each day with these structures. Pre-K, 30 minutes. Again, that's maximum in a day's time. Grades K through 1, 45 minutes. Grades 2 and 3, 60 minutes. Grades 4 and 5, 90 minutes. Again, maximum per day working on school work there at the house. Then in high school, it'd be 30 minutes per teacher with a total maximum of 3 hours in a day. We do have a question here. What are high schoolers going to use for online school, like apps and websites? We want our kids to use the same tools they're used to using. Isn't that, Chris?
So one of the things, and we'll be meeting with staff all next week, and to back up a little bit, you as parents should be receiving a phone call from staff members and make sure that we understand your needs, whether that's internet connectivity. We may not be able to fix all those things right away, but we might know somebody who could. But as far as technology, one of the new things we're going to roll out is Zoom, so we can have video face-to-face conferencing. But other than that, our goal is to not add new technology to students' plates, to families' plates. We don't want you to have to learn new technology. And the great thing is our district is in a position, we don't need anything else. K3, the main communication tool we're going to use is called Seesaw. If you're not aware of it as a parent, I hope you become aware of it and your kids are, and that's a way that we can communicate back and forth. And then 4th through 12th grade, a lot of that will be through our Canvas student management system that staff, students are well versed in. So again, we hope to not add new technology. We feel like everything that we have been using will serve us well through this last quarter of school as well.
You bet. So hopefully that answers your question there. The kids are amazing with these tools. The Seesaw format that our littlest learners have been using all year long has been incredible. I think it's been well received by parents. And those young people, they know how to use that program very well. We're excited about what the teachers are going to come up with all the way through.
We feel like students are equipped even down to kindergarten. If they do a workbook, if the teacher wants them to do something on paper and they do that, whether we as adults know how to do it or not, the students know how to take a picture of that and submit that to their teacher through Seesaw or Canvas. So we don't know all the plans. There may be other things that we send home, but we're never going to expect anything paper-wise or workbook-wise to come back to the school. We're going to ask that those all be submitted through digital formats, and we feel like we have the structure and students have the awareness and ability to do that.
You bet. Another way that we're trying to support our family our families is through the lunch program. We want to encourage all of you, all families, to take advantage of picking up a free lunch. The lunches are officially provided for 1 through 18 years of age, and we have 6 different pickup spots to start with. We also have a survey that is linked. It is linked to our website, I believe. If you've not yet seen that, go onto that survey and answer that. One of the questions has to do with whether or not you can use any of those sites. And our intent is, if let's say you're a family that lives out in the country, needs to have meals delivered, if you will give us the right kinds of contact information, we'll reach out to you and try to make something like that happen. At last count, we were over 600, approaching
Over
650 lunches that we will be providing every day, which is outstanding. Some of the questions again that are coming in: what are high schoolers going to use for online school? Like that's what's okay. We answered that one. How is graduation going to work? You know, we are very hopeful that the crisis aspect of where we're at with this disease will be on the downhill slide come the end of May. It is our hope that we can reschedule a graduation, prom. There's some special activities at the middle school level that they're used to doing every year. We're hoping that we can touch base with the kids and with the families on those things in June and July this summer. We really do believe that some things will slow down and return to a little more of a normal mindset. We need to be praying for that would happen, and we can provide our kids and our families those celebration kinds of things. Next question: does everybody need to still get up at a normal school time, like when school starts online? No, that's, you know.
Is that a student question? Who asked that?
No, that's
that sounds like my high schooler's question.
I don't know.
That's a great question.
You know,
and we're going to try to provide flexible learning.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers may have some times that they say, here's when I'm available to Zoom face-to-face. We don't expect our staff to be on call 24/7 by any means.
Right.
But because just like we want students and families to take care of their well-being, we expect that of our staff as well. But it's not going to be a normal school day. I guess a normal school day. I guess doing work in any sort of regular schedule. Next week, as teachers plan, they're going to look at the whole scope of what do we need to accomplish. And it's very possible that a student might accomplish that in 3 or 4 weeks for one class, and they're done with that class and they move on to something else. So this is going to be something like we've never done before. And we invite your input as we go about how things are working for you.
You bet. Hey, we understand that some of the older kids may be babysitting their younger siblings, and so they're going to have to work around that a little bit. So yeah, to answer your question about specific times of the day, no, we're not going to structure that in that way. I received a text message from Dory Collins. She's one of our main food service professionals. She wanted me to remind you all that as you're picking up a lunch, you're getting a breakfast for the next day. So you're actually picking up 2 meals for each child when you pick that food up.
I'm going to expand a little bit on the lunch program. So we're going to ask you how many meals you need for children aged 1 to 18 if you come to pick those up, if students are there to pick them up. I had a question on the survey. Do students have to be there? And typically through our summer lunch program, the answer would be yes, but in this time, that answer is no. We're going to ask you how many lunches you need for children aged 1 to 18, and that's how many lunches and breakfast you'll get.
Mm-hmm.
Also, as like picking up the iPads and materials today, lunch is the same way. It's going to be like a curbside drive-by.
Mm-hmm.
For the health and safety of all, we're trying to have minimal person-to-person contact as we make these exchanges of lunches and everything. So it'll take a day or two maybe to iron out how all that flow is going to go. We have a pretty good idea of how many meals we need at each of those 6 locations, which I would review. That's all of our elementary schools will have lunches to pick up from 11:30 to 12:30. St. Andrews Elementary School parking lot, same time. 501 North Brady, we will have a pickup, and also our bus stop at 6th and Cooney. Those are our 6
Mhm.
locations as of right now. If we find better ways to serve the community, we'll try to adjust and do that in the
You
future.
bet. And I want to applaud again our kitchen folks. They're just rock stars. They're going to take care of business in a hurry. The leadership, Caleb and Dory, have done a great job of being flexible. We thought we might end up serving about 200, 250 meals, and we're up over 650. And I have not yet heard that's not going to be possible from anybody that's in that business. And you know, that's kind of the mindset that we've experienced all week long. Just time after time after time, I'm hearing people say, yeah, we've got this covered, or what can we do? We can do something different than our normal job to make something happen. And that just speaks so well of Abilene as a community. And I'm just blessed to be a part of it.
Feels like we're going to have to say whoa a lot more than go.
I think so. I
The
do.
staff is ready to run, and it's been really difficult for them to not get planning and get moving on this and to wait for Monday. And they want to get this done on their spring break. But we have all next week to work with staff and to get these plans rolled out to work together. We're going to use the Zoom format as well for staff and break down into smaller groups and really get that work accomplished in the next 5 days.
We've got a question here. Will we still have access to paras? We're going to have some access. Now, that access is going to be, I'm not sure what that's going to look like. That's one of the teams that we're going to turn them loose. Some of our folks that work with kids on individual basis for a variety of reasons that might be what I would call a little extracurricular or co-curricular. They'll set up a regular time somehow to make some things happen for those young people, and we're looking forward to seeing how that works. So we realize there's a lot of needs there, and those needs will have to be addressed as well. It's just going to look a little bit different. I understand we are using Zoom, but are we using any other websites or apps? If we do some other connections with websites, or let's say a reference, the teachers will maybe they'll use some YouTube kinds of things to go look at some videos. But as far as going out and buying something or trying to prepare your home computers in a very specific way,
activity is going to be primary concern for us, and we need to find out those needs. And then the iPads that go home should have everything. If not, we can install. We can send updates that can be installed on those. But we're not going to try to add a lot of new technology. And Zoom would be the one new piece we'd really be looking at.
Mm-hmm.
We also, so we mentioned those maximum time for doing school. The other piece of that, though, is if parents want more, if students want more, we plan to be a resource and vet some of those things that you're seeing out there. Hey, this is a good free thing. So our staff will look at that and say, here's what we want you to do. And that would be a maximum time of what Mr. Brown had talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to continue, and a lot of those things, we would say, play games with your family, read a book, do those things. But there's also some resources out there that we'll be sort of creating a library of resources for students and families if they want to extend beyond what we're asking students to do.
You bet. I've got another question here. How are music classes going to be done? I think our music classes may have a leg up on some of this. I don't anticipate a great load of work that'll be done, but I think our kids are used to doing some performing kinds of opportunities on a specific website. We'll see what the music teachers come up with for some work on that to try to continue to grow with their skills.
And that's where we could sit here and try to figure something out. That's why we're bringing staff in with the Zoom to work. And so the music teacher from across the district, starting Monday, will be working on that very thing. What's out there that we can still keep kids connected to doing music, and so when they come back next year, they're not behind where we were when we left for spring break.
You bet. I've got a question here. Some students that have been doing some online work already. So I was doing online before all of this went down, but I needed to take a few tests, and I couldn't continue without taking the test. How will
Right.
I continue schooling? We have
So
visited.
I met
Yeah.
with Dr. Smith and Mr. Roth, who are over our virtual and DCLE programs. So we have a plan for you as well. We're not going to ask students to come in and take those tests. And Mr. Roth will be communicating with you.
Mhm.
Again, we want to not have any hurdles for students to continue to progress. So we're going to open up some things for you to do that we would typically ask you to come in and do on site.
Yeah. This next question, has there been a plan developed for band students to still be able to play together? I'm going to guess that's going to be a long shot.
Yeah.
If we've got siblings in the band, that might be kind of a cool
Right.
little thing to do some stuff there. But again, that's going to be largely up to the teachers to try to provide an opportunity for our young people.
Well, I think if the restrictions changed
Oh, yeah.
on movement of humans, then we would look at that later in the spring. But as of Dickinson County right now, and the advisement of our county health department is that we don't have students in the building. So if that changes, we could look at that again at that time. But
Yep.
but for now, there may be some way to do it virtually that we're not aware of, but face to face is not going to happen at this time.
PE classes, how would they work? Probably pretty similar.
Yeah.
There may be, my main mode of exercise, and I know it's hard to see that I do any exercise. I can just get on the elliptical for a short amount of time. PE teachers might ask folks to just kind of log a little bit of their activity, and move forward from there. It's one of the things that we've tried to share with the teachers is if young people are doing anything in the direction of getting some work done, we believe that their grade, if we want to look at it that way, that their academic markers would be no worse off at the end of this than they are right now. That they should only be able to improve their academic status if we're worrying about the grades. And I understand that that's a major thing for several of our high school kids. Are very driven, and
And there again,
yeah, this isn't going to be a detrimental thing for
Yeah.
those folks.
Exactly. And we'll let the PE teachers figure that out. Maybe they ask students to monitor their heart rate, do a little exercise at home, log that. Again, not a huge, we believe that they'll come up with some great lifetime fitness activities and ideas for students maybe to do with their families.
Yep. All righty. I think that the questions have slowed down a little bit. Chris, have we covered most of the bases that need to be covered right now?
And we plan on doing this on weekdays at 4 p.m.
Mhm.
Sometimes maybe just Mr. Brown, possibly it's just me at sometimes. We'll be together if we can.
You bet. In fact, we've actually kind of just this afternoon kind of looked at maybe separating our office staff a little bit so that we can make sure that essential functions can continue to go on. If one of us, the way things have worked here this week in the district office, about the only place we've been is together and in here. And the same thing would be said of our support folks. And with that in mind, we're a little concerned that if any one of us becomes sick with coronavirus, all of us are going to be put into a restricted situation. So we're actually going to start dividing our staff in here a little bit to maintain some consistency from the leadership perspective downtown. That said, we'll still be at work, but we'll be working in different places.
The only other thing I would emphasize is our homepage on our website, AbileneSchools.org, has been updated, and that's going to be our go-to place for all things continuous learning. So those 3 goals that I mentioned, those should be on there later this evening. We're going to try to keep those updates on that front page and easy to find. If you haven't joined our Facebook group and you do that, or Twitter, do those things. We're going to try to communicate as much as possible and keep the public informed. Again, you'll be hearing from a staff member sometime Monday, Tuesday, we hope, with some personal contact. But then we also plan to have ongoing communication and personal contact as we progress through this spring.
We have the question here from Lucas. It says, will we still alternate days like orange and brown days, or will we do all the classes each day? I don't believe the orange and brown parameters are going to be a factor. I think you'll have you'll get some information from the teachers that you've been working with. Hey, here's some goals that you need to try to work on finishing this week. It's going to look a whole lot different than what you're used to seeing in a week of a normal school situation. But again, the teachers are going to be working on that for the next several days. They're going to take some time here the next 3 or 4 business days to outline some of that and what we're encouraging them to do. And I'm sure that they've already thought along those lines. It's not going to be, by golly, this is due Thursday, because that's how you've been doing business in a regular school setting. We realize that's probably not possible at all, but it might be a situation where, hey, try to have this done by the end of the week. And if you get it done ahead of time, great. But
rather than thinking of schedules, we're going to think of courses. So you're going to have workloads in each course, and you're going to have some expectations. Here's when this needs to be done. And we're going to ask you to try to meet those expectations as we go. But having this is Orange Day and you do these classes, this is Brown Day, you do these classes, that's probably off the table because everybody's schedules and needs are going to vary so much. We may have students that, as Mr. Brown mentioned, take care of other siblings in the home, and so their work time is going to be later in the evenings. One of the things we didn't mention was the K-5 iPads have not been home before. So they're going home today and tomorrow. Those like I help, Mr. Libby and his team have made those where they will not work from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. We do not want kids up late at night on these things. And as parents, you have the ultimate control of when that student has that iPad and does work on it. But we call it brick. We're going to brick them from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. because we want students to still get good sleep, to stay in those healthy circadian rhythms of going to bed at a decent time. But again, you as the parent have the ultimate control to remove that device, turn it off, have it in your space, however you'd like. But that will be one interesting thing because they will not work during that time frame.
Megan, I'm glad you've asked this question about families who do not have internet access. That's one of the questions we're going to be asking when the teachers are calling families beginning Monday afternoon and evening. We're going to ask about the internet access that each family has, and if the family does not have that internet access, make this happen. But yeah, that's a hurdle that we're going to have to address throughout our planning stage next week, and I'm glad you've asked that.
And we may be able to help. I believe in most situations we'll be able to find a solution, and that's where we're going to do some personalized support of families to try to figure out what options they might have and that we can assist with.
Right. I wouldn't lose a lot of sleep right now. If you're one of those families that does not have internet access, just let us know and we'll get some things figured out. Next question we have, what do we do about the possibility of needing something from the library or already having a book from the high school library? I don't think we're going to be in a situation where we'll ask you to go get something from any library, whether it be the public library or the school library. We have the understanding that this social distancing has impacted our movement in the community, and we're really not interested in putting people in positions where they have to go someplace to make their learning applicable. So now, if you already have a book from the school library,
we'll worry about that later.
We'll figure it out.
We're going to have to figure out how to get the iPads back as well
true.
At some point. And so those are, we have a lot of unknowns, and you may hear us say a lot on these updates. We don't know. I see some more questions rolling in. We are pushing up against a half an hour, but we'll try to answer some questions and then get you on your way.
I'm in an independent study currently with an extended math class due to health reasons. How would that work?
That teacher's probably going to communicate.
Yeah,
with
that
them.
teacher's going to visit with you, Trinity. I think you're going to be fine.
Get that figured out.
When will we be starting the online school?
Good question.
The continuous learning format is actually going to start on Monday, May 30th.
March 30th.
I'm sorry, March 30th. Yeah. May 30th we hope to be done.
A week from Monday.
Yeah. So March 30th is when we anticipate really rolling some things out and getting
there may be some things that come out that you could start on later next week if teachers get to that point. But our expectation is we start continuous learning, not virtual school, but continuous learning, which is different than school, on March 30th.
Yeah, Riley, you're a teacher assistant. How's that going to work? You're not going to have to worry about it. Is there credit attached to that? There is some credit attached to that. You're not going to lose the credit you have. That's just going to be established, and away we go.
That teacher may text you or can connect with you and say, hey, could you do this? Because some of the things we're doing are going to be innovative, and we're going to use them when we come back to regular school. So there might be some learning opportunities there.
My kiddo that lives, my kiddo is a teacher's assistant.
Yeah.
So
that's a good question. And
I'm glad you asked.
We're going to ask those teachers to connect with you guys and communicate and figure that out on an individual basis on much of that.
All right. Any other questions? We're right at 31 minutes. Kind of like to try to keep these to a half hour, but if you have other questions, we can sure answer real quickly, and away we go. If again, by chance that you have questions after this broadcast, feel free to contact us. Probably the easiest way is through the website. There's a contact us button, and that gets to us in a pretty timely fashion. Feel free to email me at gbrown@abileneschools.org or any of our teachers or administrators. All the email addresses are set up the same way. Are we just using Zoom? It's whatever the teachers feel like they're most used to using. We're going to be using Zoom quite a bit to talk with our teachers. So
we'll show them how to use that. That'll be pushed out to all the student iPads, so it is an option. That I would doubt if anybody exclusively uses Zoom, but we felt like it was a tool that would give us that more face-to-face, and we can see emotion and body language in kids. I'm sure our counselors will be utilizing that at some point to try to connect with kids. So we're going to use all the tools, many of the tools we've been using, and Zoom is the one additional tool we're expecting to use.
You bet. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up here. I do want to thank you all for participating with us. Spread the word a little bit. We're going to do this every day for a while. We know that there's a lot of trepidation involved with this shift, but it's going to be good. We have tremendous people working in our system with regular school, probably not as good as regular school, but we may learn some things about how we can do things better in this process. And again, communicate with us, visit with us, and don't hesitate. I appreciate you joining us today, and you have a great one.
Have a good weekend.